Ta-da. This is where I don't know if I'm live or not. See, I've got my iPad up here as well, just to check if I am live. But so far, nothing has come up on it. But there might be a delay, so I'd better start talking, I guess. Hello, welcome to my monthly live. What do I call them again? Monthly live pop culture chats. That's what I call them. Where every month I pick a topic and something about pop culture. We've had lots of things. We've had weighty things like transmedia storytelling, which is storytelling across multiple mediums, through to children's TV and just generally chatting about Doctor Who while I do one of those tier ranking things. That was a low week where I didn't have much planned. But this week we're going to be talking mainly about Doctor Who Flux and also Star Trek Prodigy. And to help me along with that, I've got a guest with me today who I shall bring on now. Let me just find the right button to do that. Which button is it? That's a good question. Here we go. Hello, Antonio.
Hello, Phil.
You're
Thank
not
you.
on my screen. Why are you not on my screen? Is it because I did the thing wrong? Hold on. Let me try. You should be. Oh, I know why it's done that. There we go. You should be there now, I think. Technology, eh? Yes, there you are. You're on the screen. People can see you now. Hello, Antonio. Welcome to the stream.
Phil. And thank you for having me on your show.
I've been testing out on these streams different features every month because I'm still learning this software, and getting people on is one of the newer things that I have discovered how to do. So I'm taking full advantage of that, so my voice doesn't go after just an hour of me talking to myself.
That's fair. Yeah.
But you are a Doctor Who fan?
Yes, I am. For my sins have been from 1995.
Since 1995?
Yeah.
There we go. What got you into Doctor Who?
My dad. So my dad was a fan when he was young, and one afternoon, I think it was in the morning, so that's when UK Gold used to air Doctor Who. He plopped me down on the sofa and he said, "This is going to terrify you," because my dad and me were very similar. We like to sort of argue a lot, but we love each other lots. And he put on UK Gold, and it was greatest show in the galaxy, and I was hooked, much to my mother's dismay. And it's now stuck around for nearly 25 years.
Wow. Is it 20? Well, over 25 years since 1995.
Yeah, I'm not very good at math. If I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. And you're a Star Trek fan too?
Yes, again, around about the same time as Doctor Who. I've got memories of watching it back when it was on BBC Two, along with Farscape. I think
that was that 6:30 in the evening, a BBC Two slot that was always some kind of fantasy or sci-fi. It was great. It was just just after tea or something, and you get like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Star Trek or one of those programs. It was great. Great time in the 90s.
It was weird because I used to love Star Trek, and then I used to be terrified of Farscape. And then somewhere in the middle of that was Space 1999. I don't know if you ever watched that one.
I didn't watch that one, no.
That was a really good one. It was a Jerry Anderson production, which is fantastic. And it's on Blu-ray now in a beautiful collection. But yeah, Star Trek was one of my go-to feel-good shows. I used to have a tricorder. I still have my medical tricorder toy upstairs.
Nice.
And I had the Romulan Bird of Prey. I had the Enterprise, which had a horrible demise, which still hurts me to this day. And then Shuttlecraft. But I used to love it.
Yeah, I never got massively into merchandise for anything really. When even the stuff I was really into, I bought like VHSs of things.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. But Star Trek, I did used to collect the Star Trek fact files, which were did you get those as well?
Not all of them. Like, yeah, I used to get like a fair few of them, but obviously because I was so young.
Yeah. There were
And
these things, you got a ring binder, and every
yeah,
month there was a new magazine which you literally separated all the pages out and slotted it into the right sections of the ring binder. And there were like schematics of the ships, there were episode breakdowns, profiles of people, and each kind of category had its own section in the folder. And
funnily enough, I actually know someone who worked on it.
oh wow,
Yeah.
oh nice. Oh
So,
well, if you next time you see them, say you've got a friend that collected those and has fond memories of them.
oh no, definitely I will, because they're
In
like the
fact, I
biggest.
still got them up in my loft. I still own them. So
That's really cool.
I haven't looked at them in years, but they are up there somewhere.
When you do look at them, there's like a section in it which used to be like a cutout of a ship, like it was
Yes.
like the engine room or the bridge, and I used to love that. With my imagination as a little kid, I used to pretend literally that I was like crawling through Jeffrey's tubes. I was
Yeah.
using a table to pretend it was a Jeffrey's tube.
They were always the cutouts of the ships and like the little schematics and little 3D models of what the rooms looked like and
Yeah.
everything. That was almost my favorite part of that magazine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will be talking Star Trek Prodigy, which is the new animated children's Star Trek, which has launched in the US. We won't talk about how we have both watched it, but it is in the US. It's not in the UK yet. I don't know when they're planning on putting it in the UK, but we'll talk a bit about that and Doctor Who Flux. Just going to the chat to see who's there. Emma Hughes says hello. She clearly got here early because she said hello at 7:30, at 8 o'clock, and at 8:25. So thank you for being early, Emma. Ben Miller asks if you want to put each Doctor from the revival era of Doctor Who with each companion from the classic era of Doctor Who,
Ooh.
which would it be? Let's not go through the whole list of all of them, but if you could pick one, which classic companion would you put with which new Doctor?
That's a hard one. So I'm going to go off TV only because obviously the expanded media.
That's fair.
So TV only. I'd love to see Tegan with Capaldi.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. That could be
I think-
explosive.
And I think there'd be like a really big, like, you could really grow Tegan's character. I mean, Tegan's character did grow on the TV show, but can you just imagine like having a slightly more hot-headed Doctor versus her hot-headedness? I think there'd just be a really interesting dynamic.
Yep, definitely.
What about you?
I'm going to go with Capaldi as well, but just to get the two Scottish voices and see how they are together. I quite like Capaldi with Jamie.
Oh, yeah.
Just to
Again,
see how they are together. Two Scottish guys hanging out in the TARDIS.
and very strong characters as well.
Yeah.
Like, again, Jamie was quite a strong character. I think that's why he played so well against Patrick, was just the dynamic, and it'd be really interesting to see that, especially with Capaldi in his last season, which for me is Capaldi's strongest.
Yeah,
he just
definitely
came into his own in that series, which was such a shame because, you know, I wanted more. I wanted more Bill, Doctor, and Nardole.
One day we may get Big Finish Adventures with them. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Also in the chat we got John, Luke, Harry, Perception Poet. Sorry, just reading the words blended together there. John Fisher says hello. Jace is in the chat. Joseph Adam said he's in the chat and says he enjoyed watching Evil of the Daleks, especially the ending. He's looking forward to Galaxy 4. I'm going to the Galaxy 4 BFI event if anybody else is going. Are you jealous? You should have come.
Yeah, I want. The problem is it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
My day job, it's just it's shift work in a call center. Sorry, that's my dog. I have two rather loud dogs, as Phil is aware. So hopefully they will not bark too much.
Yes. Antonio runs a Torchwood RPG game which I play. We play it every week, and it's sort of like Dungeons and Dragons. It's not based on the Dungeons and Dragons system. It's based on one called Call of Cthulhu. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's another RPG like Dungeons and Dragons. But the amount of our games over Zoom that have been interrupted by those dogs That's a lot.
They should have been the villain, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Dog
oh,
villains.
I mean, the original plan was to like make it into a podcast, but then I just thought because they occasionally fight, it was just not going to be really fun for people. And
I don't know. It could have been entertaining.
Me stressing, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Who else have we got in the chat? So Doctor Who Home is in the chat as well. Hi, Doctor Who Home. Doctor Who Home. I don't know if you follow them, Antonio, but they do great Big Finish cover competitions. So they pit two Big Finish covers against each other and then have a public vote for it to find ultimately the best ever Big Finish cover. Which I think when I asked him the other day, he said he worked out that it's going to be like 2023 or 2024 by the time we get to that point. But that's always fun. I love voting in a poll.
I mean, my secret desire, well, it's not really a secret desire, is to complete the Trinity, as I like to call it. Act for Big Finish, write for Big Finish, do a cover for Big Finish.
Yes, you have written for Big Finish.
Yes, I have. And I've been in a few as well. The lovely Scott Hancock got me to be a mute clown on radio. It's my claim to fame. I was a mute clown on radio. I did a lot of grunting with Arthur Darvill.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was that in?
It was called It's Dark Shadows Speak No Evil.
Oh, okay. Is that the one you wrote? Because it was the Dark Shadows that you wrote, wasn't it?
No, the Dark Shadows I wrote was called The Velvet Room, and it was sort of like a short, it wasn't a full cast one, it was a sort of like a dramatic reading from one of the original actors from the series. I'm a big Dark Shadows fan, so Joe Lidster, after me mithering him for many, many, many days, eventually said, yeah, throw me a pitch. So I threw him a pitch about a gentleman's club called The Velvet Room, which was a homage to a series called Persona.
Oh, I have not heard of Persona. I have heard of Dark Shadows, but I've never watched it. So consequently, I have no connection to it. So I've never listened to any of the big finishes.
You like Buffy though, don't you?
I do like Buffy. Why is it very similar to that?
Well, I would say it's a precursor to Buffy. Like before Angel was, you had the big vampire names, Dracula, Angel, Buffy. Well, Barnabas in America used to be the big one. So Dark Shadows is a dark soap opera, which lasted for about 1,200 episodes or so. And first 100, not much happens. And then when you get to the beginning, about episode 100 onwards, so when Barnabas comes into it.
It's quite a lot of episodes then.
Yeah. There was vampires, werewolves, Dorian Gray werewolf.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds good. I'll have to check it out at some point.
You should, definitely. I think it'd be right up your sleeve.
Yeah. Just before we move on, let's look at anybody else in the chat. Oh, Jace says they're in the UK too and watched it too. So I'm guessing they're referring to Star Trek Prodigy. Emma Hughes says she's excited for the 10th of November. On the 10th of November, it's her birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And Joseph Adams says, I wish they do reboot of Tomb of the Cybermen and the invasion in Liverpool Doctor Who. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying there. You want them to do those stories again, but set in Liverpool? Is that what you're saying? Cool.
Well, that's interesting because I'm not sure if you know about this, but the 1996 movie was meant to be a reboot of sorts. And following the TV movie, they were actually going to remake some of the previous stories.
Oh, yeah, as detailed in the Leakley Bible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think another one of my friends actually has a copy of.
Nice. I remember reading about that in a book. I think it was called Regeneration or something like that.
Yeah.
Years ago. I didn't buy the book. I was like, this is when I was like a teenager, so I was in the store. This is how I had to read books because I couldn't afford all the books I want because they're expensive books. And when you're a 16-year-old, you don't have loads of disposable income to buy £20 books.
It's expensive.
I just go into bookshops and just sit there reading the books.
I remember
I did that to that one in one store.
Remember, there's Forbidden Planet back in the day when it used to be on Tottenham Court Road or round the corner from Tottenham Court Road. I went as a kid and they had two cyberheads. Now, this was before the new series came back, two cyberheads on the wall and a cyber gun. I was so close. I managed to persuade my parents to go back and spend like £200 on a cyberhead for me. We went back, someone bought it. So my consolation prize was a book called, I think it's called Time Frame, and it has all the cover art from the Target novels in, and like newspaper cuttings. It's a really gorgeous book, and a rather famous photo of Katie Manning, which I wasn't expecting at the young age of about 9 or 10. I was like, oh!
Oh, was it the Dalek one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I know the one you mean.
So, yeah.
Yes. For those that don't know, Katie Manning, I think it was for a magazine cover or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, like an insert or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It's very page 3.
Yeah, page 3 style with a Dalek. So, yeah. My audio's a tad low, apparently. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me try and boost that up. I've got to be very careful with my microphone because it almost died the other day.
Oh, there you go.
Today. Is that better? Am I sounding louder now?
Better.
Okay, cool.
I can hear you. You're not too low for me.
Cool. I don't know what I sound like on the thing, but hopefully that's better. Chris, let me know if that's better in the chat. Before we get on to our main subjects, just a couple of other things that I've been watching and stuff this week in the world of pop culture. There is a TV show called Foundation on Apple TV, which I'm really enjoying. It's based on a classic sci-fi novel by Isaac Asimov. And I read the book about 4 years ago, did a review on my channel back when I had like 100 subscribers. And for some reason, this book review is one of my most viewed videos. And it's got like, at this point, it's got like 16,000 views for this book review. And I was like, I don't quite know why. I wasn't massively impressed with the book either. But I'm enjoying the TV show a lot more, and I'm now reading the second book, which I'm also enjoying a lot more than the first. So that's definitely good. And I know this is one thing that you might be excited about as well. In the world of gaming, tomorrow the new Animal Crossing update hits.
It's already out.
Is it? What? It came out early?
Yeah. The 2.0. I've been playing it today.
If I'd known, I would have sacked off this live stream and just be playing Animal Crossing instead.
It's good. Like yeah, like you can't really, there's not really spoilers per se with Animal Crossing.
No.
You've like I've gone to, I need to just get Brewster now and then I can have a coffee.
Oh yeah. Do you have to do something? Do you have to unlock him somehow?
Yeah, so you need to basically you need to go and speak to Blathers in the museum.
Yeah.
Blathers will say that he wants to expand. Then you have to go on Kappa tours to one of the islands where you can dig up gyroids because he likes gyroids.
So yes, I did hear gyroids were going to be in it again.
And then you see him and talk him and get him to come over.
I am looking forward to going for a nice coffee in the Roost in the museum. That'll be good. Is there anything you've been watching the last week that you want to talk about?
My newfound love of, well, I've always loved horror. Horror has always been a thing that I've quite enjoyed. I like classic horror more than modern day horror. But Chucky, the Chucky TV series, is great. It's funny, it's camp, it's scary, and it follows an LGBT protagonist. It's just, and Chucky used to scare me. Like as a kid, he used to terrify me. Like my parents used to record films on VHS, you know, and parents used to do that, you know, episodes of TV shows. And I remember watching a bit of it, and I think it was from the third one. And I think it was like near the end, and it terrified me to the point where I had to lock up a Pinocchio. I had like a life-size Pinocchio.
Oh wow!
Italian.
Yeah.
And he used to stare at me at night.
I think that would freak me out even if I hadn't seen a horror movie about a doll coming to life and killing.
Well, just imagine 7-year-old me dragging this doll down the corridor, locking it in a cupboard and getting a broom and sticking it through the handles. My mum was furious. She's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I can't have him anymore. He's watching me."
Yeah. My only experience with Chucky, I've seen one Chucky movie, which was Bride of Chucky, which I think I watched about 20 years ago. And that is my only one. I think I liked it at the time, although I can't. The only thing I remember is that he has a girlfriend that
Yeah.
also becomes a doll, and that's kind of all I remember about the plot.
Yeah, it's a weird one because like I've not seen any of the previous movies. I've seen clips,
Oh,
and
okay.
I've gone into the TV series because I kind of wanted to confront the fear of Chucky I had, and then it's completely done a 360, and I'm going, oh, I really enjoy this, and it's a really good starting on like jumping on point, but at the same time, there is stuff that's going to be referenced from all the other films
Oh, yeah.
coming in, so it's like, oh.
That's
Now I
cool.
need to go back. I was going to buy it on Blu-ray. It was like £70 for all of them. I was like,
How many are there?
7 films.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 films of varying like level.
Yeah.
So, other than that, gaming wise, with me, um, I'm very, very excited for a series of games called Shin Megami Tensei, which Persona is a spin-off of. It's coming out on Nintendo Switch in, I think, mid next week. I'm a
Okay.
big fan. It's a Japanese sort of post-apocalyptic Pokemon demon collecting thing. It's really good. Quite an adult storyline. Most of the time, it's all about like good versus evil. But that's my looking forward to. And Pokemon is coming out as well.
Yeah. Jace in the chat asks if you have a YouTube channel. I don't think you do you?
I don't. I was contemplating doing one. This is my first time I've ever done anything like this. But I've always had that fear of no one watching the content.
Everyone has to start out somewhere, and
True.
I'm sure we can get you some viewers. So you should definitely start. What would it be on? Would it just be purely on Doctor Who, or would you do one
No.
on no? Would you do it on Doctor Who at all, or would you try and do
Yeah.
that?
But the thing is with my opinion of Doctor Who is I love Doctor Who through and through. There are episodes that I don't love as much, and there are episodes that I absolutely adore. But for me, I never really have anything negative to say about the show. So
Mm,
when it comes to creative criticism, with Doctor Who, because it's like a safety blanket for me,
yeah.
uh, I can't say anything, and I think that's why I get so worked up when I see people over analyzing it, which I shouldn't do because they're absolutely in their right to, because that's what they enjoy doing. But for
Mm.
me, Doctor Who's always been a camp,
Yeah,
nonsensical
but
show.
you can make a videos about the show without you don't even have to review the show. You can just make videos about it in other regards and
Yeah,
about your love for it and about elements of the story and stuff like that. That doesn't have to be reviews. Actually, I also struggle with reviews a bit because I'm generally quite a positive person when it comes to watching media,
mm,
and it takes a lot for me to go I don't like something. Like it really
yeah,
does take a lot. It has to be like excruciatingly bad. So most of the time, I'm quite positive about most of the things I watch
yeah,
because
yeah.
I tend to just see the positives in things I watch. So I don't think I'm a massive occasionally I'll say I didn't that element of it wasn't for me, but
Yeah.
I think mostly,
It's
and that seems to there seems to be some audience for that. So
maybe I'll do that. I mean, I
yeah,
also, as you know, I love. I'm a big fan of Japan.
yes,
I love my genre of uh, tokusatsu, which I always mispronounce, which is basically where Power Rangers came from. In Japan, it's called Super Sentai, and then there's another series equally famous, which is Ultraman. And one of my big things is Kamen Rider, Sentai, and Ultraman have been running for more or less about the same amount of time as Doctor Who and Star Trek. However, it still gets the exact same amount of audience. It still totally understands it's a kids' show and reinvents itself. And I'm just like, come on, let's do a Doctor Who mashup. So maybe
yeah,
I'll talk about that as well because I love monsters. I love
yeah.
Godzilla films.
Well,
So
if people want to follow your work, as it were, you do post really good fan
oh,
art that does sometimes. You just reminded me about it there, because you do sometimes do fan art that mashes up things like Doctor Who with
Mhm.
these Japanese type influence things as well, don't you?
Yeah,
You
I
do them
do.
as kind of like audio covers and all sorts of things.
Yeah, they're all basically so I have ADHD, which you know. And one of the things that really relaxes my brain is making covers for mental stories that I've created in my head. And that's normally what I do, and I just post them on Twitter. So yeah, if anybody wants to see them, my Twitter is Rastelli Tonio, which is a mouthful, but it's RASTELLITONIO, or Instagram, which is Tonio number one. But yeah, I love making covers for things.
And if anybody follows Who Chaser, aka Dominic G. Martin, you will have seen Antonio's work on his latest series, because Antonio did all the covers for the recent Doctor Who Remnants series,
Such
fan
good, yeah,
series that Dom did. So
yeah.
you may have seen his work already through that if you follow Dom.
Dom's a legend.
Yeah, he's great, isn't
Dom's
he?
a legend.
So yeah, he's a Star Trek fan as well, actually.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he went to Comic Con recently. I wasn't there the day that he dressed like this. I was there the day before, but on the second day of Comic Con, he dressed as Geordie LaForge with
Really
in
cool.
the season 1, I think, TNG outfit and visor and everything. It was from the photos, it looked like a really good costume.
It was. I mean, I've never really done cosplay.
Neither
Something
have
I've
I. It's something I kind of want to do.
Yeah, exactly. But I've never had the sort of like get up and go to actually do it. It's always been something in my mind that I've wanted to do, but never actually finalized it. Um, I mean, yeah, he's really talented, really, really amazing. Um, Definitely check him out. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
He is everywhere.
Okay, well, let's get to our main topics of
Yes.
the evening then. Do you want to start with Doctor Who, or do you want to start with Star Trek?
Let's start with Star Trek.
Let's start with Star Trek. I've even got a special uh separate screen. I don't know if you're also got the
Yes.
stream up, but I will add on the pictures of the cast, the main crew, and the logo next to us, so we can see it's there. And it's a Star Trek Prodigy with a hologram Captain Janeway.
Mm.
And we both have watched the first episode. It is a kid's show, so it's theoretically not aimed at us. I think their target audience is sort of 7 plus. But
Yeah.
watching the first episode, I don't know what you felt, but it has that kind of like crossover that I think it absolutely appeals to adults as well that are Star Trek fans.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It has that Avatar vibe to it.
Mm.
Like again, Avatar's a series by Nickelodeon, which it's aimed at majoritively kids, but the storytelling, the way that it goes, you can tell that it's also got elements that appeal to adults. And I think that's why that's one of the most famous Nickelodeon shows. And I get such the similar vibe to the first episode of Prodigy. There was a couple of things where I was like, oh, that's quite dark.
Mm.
But you know, just like implication wise with like Deathlock. That's his name, isn't it? Deathlock.
Deathlock, the guy that looks like General Grievous from Star Wars.
Yeah. He just, there was the bit where he was sort of like going through like, now it's my turn. I was like, oh, it's quite like that whole manipulation.
It doesn't hold back. It doesn't kidify anything. It is really like the menacing moments are menacing, and you know there's light-hearted humor in there, obviously.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it's a comedy. It's a serious Star Trek show just for kids, and that adults will also enjoy. It's got the same kind of vibe, I think, as like later Star Wars Clone Wars and like Star Wars Rebels as well. That kind of and it's got this. It's clearly setting up a long form storytelling as well, which I was slightly worried it would be very episodic, but I like that this is going to be a continuing story.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have elements of like episodic. I think it's gonna be a bit like that Clone Wars, where it will have like, you'll have the odd occasional episode where it will just be like, you know, for the comedy factor, but then overarching in the background, other things will be happening. That's how I feel it's going to be going.
Yeah.
And I mean, the crew that have been, it's just different. It's like, it's Star Trek, but different and
Yeah, because it's
good.
not a Starfleet crew. It's not a.
Exactly.
It's like this ragtag bunch of people. Have you got a favorite? So yet.
Oh, is it Murph?
Oh, the blob.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sort of random blob there that's below the big pink person.
Oh,
Yeah.
Murph is just great. Like he's just. Oh, I want to. Oh, is that kind of character that I want to know more about because he's the only one that we don't know anything about.
Mm.
I'm really also interested in seeing the character development for is it Gwen or Gwyn?
Yes, the one that's standing next to Janeway in that picture. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing their
Yeah, because
development.
she's basically working for the bad guys
Well,
at the
it's her
start.
dad, isn't
It's
it?
her dad. Yeah, her dad is the main bad guy, and she doesn't seem particularly happy though.
No.
But she also isn't up for running away with them. They kidnap her, so and that's where we've left it. So how quickly will she integrate with them and come round to their side? And I think there's quite a lot that could be quite interesting to explore there.
It's again um very similar. It's weird because the premise of, there's what, six, well, there's technically seven of them with Janeway as the
Mm.
hologram. It's kind of a bit like Blake Seven. Like the premise as well is very similar. Like, these prisoners on a prison, rock, find an alien ship, which to them is alien, the sentient alien ship, and
Mm.
go off and are being chased by, someone who wants that ship. And it's very similar to Blake Seven. Seven is basically the same setup except freedom fighters. But yeah, I'm very interested about this Janeway as well. Very interesting.
Yeah, because it's
I want
we
to
only
know
meet her
more.
right at the very end of the first episode, so we
Yeah.
haven't really had much time with her yet. Um, so I mean, how different is she? Like, where does this? We don't even know where this fits, like in the
No.
timeline of Star Trek. How long has it been since Janeway got back from the Delta Quadrant that this takes place? This isn't, and like I say, this is a computer simulation of Janeway. It's not the real Janeway, but
It's based off the Doctor's hologram
yeah,
from the episode where they take over the ship, I
yeah,
think.
she's like a training hologram, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but she's wearing that uniform. It's like which seems strange because even when they returned, they'd already changed the uniforms. So like why would they then create a hologram of her in her old uniform? Basically it's because us as the audience recognize her in that uniform. And that's
Yeah.
the only reason.
And there was a couple of nods to old episodes.
Yeah.
There's that one particular one, and I can't remember how he describes it, but Gwen asks him, when she's like, tell me a story about space again. He's like, well, what did you call it? The something of dreams.
All right.
And I read somewhere online that harks back to another episode where
Oh,
someone says
okay.
the exact same thing.
Yeah. And you have the
So
Kazon in there,
yeah.
obviously. Voyage of Bad Guys.
And another darkish aspect to that series was, what were they doing with that kid?
Yeah.
Like Gwen's reaction to that was like, if you ever bring another one that young to us again, you'll be the one working in the mines.
Yeah.
So are they kidnapping these people? Are they using them as slaves? That was the impression I was getting. That was they were like collecting like orphans and prisoners and making them work to this, this what was he called? The main, he had a name, didn't he?
It began with D, didn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Can't remember. My favorite character out of this bunch, though, I think is it Zero? Is that what they're
Yeah,
called? In the kind of light creature that's in
the Medusan.
The Medusan, that's it. And the Medusan, who are a species that if you gaze upon them, you will go insane. So they have to be contained in a special containment field, which is what they created this suit themselves. But they're very sarcastic, and kind of a bit like stuff goes over their head. Like there's one moment where one of the main guy with the kind of mohawk, he's on the outside of the ship looking in through the window basically, and he's telling them to go, and he's saying go zero, go zero, and they're like Zero's like, yeah, go zero, I did it.
Yeah.
Just doesn't quite get what people are actually saying to them.
Another interesting thing about the crew is they don't all 100%, well, they don't know each other, they don't trust each other. Like Zero was very happy to just leave the main character.
At the moment, they're still all out for themselves, really.
Yeah, exactly. Which is interesting because I'd like to. It'd be cool to see them actually grow. I think they're going to be ending up being like a family dynamic by the end of it. And the ship, I want to see more of the inside of that ship. The bridge is stunning. The design is stunning. It's clearly smaller than your average ship, though.
Yeah, and somebody said, I saw someone online suggest that it might have been like a troop carrier or something because of the way they entered it. Effectively where the deflector dish usually is. So that kind of like opened up into it, like could have been where troops come out. Somebody
or shuttle bay.
That. Yeah.
It's clearly smaller than your bog standard Intrepid class, and Intrepid was quite small, wasn't it? I can't remember what the crew complement for that ship was. But...
yeah. I wonder how it compares to a Defiant.
Defiant's quite small, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. I mean, it managed to maneuver itself around those sort of pipes on the planet quite well. So, yeah, I'm quite excited to see where this goes.
I got really excited when they were like phasers. I was like, when the ship started shooting, everyone's like, oh yeah, look how cool that is. It looks stunning.
And one of them really at one point goes like, where's the pew pew button?
Yeah, it was great.
It does look stunning. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's the colors in it are just vivid and stand out, and they just look great.
I'm very picky when it comes to sort of 3D animated shows. Like there are a few that I've seen. There's some that I've seen from like Japan, and then there's some that I've seen obviously that have been made over here. And I think they've hit it on the nail, like quality wise in this show. It doesn't look like a video game, which sometimes worries some shows do look like.
Yeah.
This looks like it could be done by like what's that movie company? DreamWorks.
Yeah. It is kind of movie quality CGI. It is good.
I'm going to be heartbroken that the second episode's only like 25 minutes when the first one was a full 40.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I went to play it. I was like, 45 minutes? Are they all like this? Oh no, it's a double.
Yeah.
Fine. It makes sense, I suppose.
Well, we'll have to watch the next one. I mean, the next one was out yesterday.
Today, I think. It's definitely out because I saw there's a YouTuber I watch called Jessie Gender, and she had her review up already. So I know it's out, but it wasn't available where I watch it. Earlier on today when I tried to watch it this morning. So I'm gonna have to watch that tomorrow, I think. But it would have been good to watch the second episode before this stream, but never mind. If only so we could have talked about Janeway some more.
Yes.
Because there's not really much to talk about because she only appeared right at the end.
It gives you can make a video on Janeway.
I could do. It's true. I could. Absolutely. I up until now I've been doing like Discovery and Picard I did weekly reviews of. I'm not doing that for Prodigy, which is one of the reasons why I've included it here. So I can talk about it a bit because I did really like it. Partly that was because I wasn't sure I was gonna necessarily watch all of them because I thought it's a kid's show, I'll check it out. Maybe I won't gel with it and I'll be fine. But I do really like it in the end. But also I've got Doctor Who reviews to do at the moment. I can't do too many weekly reviews in 1 week.
Doctor Who.
And it also overlaps with the next season of Star Trek Discovery as well. So they're going to be on at the same time. So I will do weekly reviews of that. Do you watch Discovery as well?
So I watched the first series and I watched the second series, and then I started, well, basically I was catching up because the third series had come out. It was during COVID that I managed to catch up with it. Yeah. So I was watching the second series and I blitzed through that. I don't particularly like Klingon episodes of Star Trek. I've never really found them
Oh,
that
okay. Just
interesting.
generally.
Yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately. Um, which I know, is slap on the hand, bad Antonio. Um, so I got to the start of season 3 and I hit sort of burnout. I think I got 3 episodes in. I got to the episode just when they did the trill.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I need to pick it back up because I was enjoying it. It's just it's gone through so many different iterations in just 3 series
Yeah, it really has. It's
already.
changed radically every year.
And
I
it
do
kind
think
of,
for the better each time, though, personally.
yeah, no, I agree, but I think it's just such a bit of a culture shock.
Yeah,
Like we've gone from like series 1, which was, Federation at war, to series 2, which was trying to be somewhat like the original series in a way. And then series 3, which is so many years in the future where the Federation's gone. It's like this series feels weird because whenever you watch Star Trek, you always think the Federation is always there.
yeah.
And now it's not.
Well,
Or
it
not.
is, but just not as big.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just kind of like, I'm scared for the Federation.
Yeah. Although maybe spoilers because you wouldn't have got that far. You don't know what the
Oh,
Federation is.
no, well, no, I got to that bit. So I know they're like
Okay.
hidden, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I've started watching Lower Decks. I saw the first 2 episodes.
Oh, okay. We had a question in the chat earlier about what our favorite season of Discovery and of Lower Decks is. So if you've only watched 2 episodes of Lower Decks,
Yeah, I'm
you don't have a
bad.
favorite season yet.
I
Um,
loved the first episode
yeah,
because that kind of filled one of my sort of fan like things. Like I like horror. I quite like the zombie genre. So having an episode of Star Trek with
zombies
zombies
in. Yeah,
is really cool. Um, it's the same with like Star Wars. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but the one of the books is about zombies. It's just like, yeah, that's cool. Um,
I think I would pick the second season of Lower Decks. I love Lower Decks. It's my favorite of the modern Star Trek shows.
really,
Yeah, I love it. It's brilliant. It's just so funny. But but it's not just funny. It has like heart and stuff as well. And yeah, they do the silly jokes, uh, but it is also like it's got interesting plots and it's got the characters. And season 2, they do really start to sort of develop as characters as well, and I can actually see some growth in the characters. So season 2 of that one, Discovery. Probably series season 3 because is my favorite. I think it's just gotten better every year. Although I did really like lots about season 2, particularly Pike
yeah.
and
Oh, it was so
everything
good.
to do with Pike, who is just brilliant. I'm so glad we're getting Strange New Worlds as a spin-off of him in. Um, but the kind of how it wrapped up and how they wrapped up the ending of that story arc, I don't think they it didn't quite gel well with me.
Yeah.
I didn't, I don't know really. I don't think they ended it in the particularly best way. It felt a bit convoluted.
Do you know what I think I would really have enjoyed? I think if they had gone with Discovery, right, we're going to have this new ship in the past that we've never heard of in any of like Star Trek's iterations up until this point. And then halfway through that Klingon Federation war, they get thrown into that future.
Right.
And so, yeah, I know you'd be missing out on the whole Pike thing and everything, but it would have allowed Discovery to have its own identity without being bogged down in history,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of
Mm.
Star Trek fans are quite a bit like Doctor Who fans, like their continuity and like knowing where things fit and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. In the comments, Drew with Cameron Smith, that's their name, it says, hot take. This is on an older Star Trek series. Hot take on Star Trek Enterprise. I like it. I can see why most people don't, but I think it's watchable and enjoyable in most parts. It's proto Star Trek. I love Star Trek Enterprise,
I
particularly the end season. I actually think it got the best towards the end, that final season, other than the sort of, other than maybe the last episode.
Is that the Zindi arc?
No, that's season 3.
Oh, is
Season
it?
4 was when they kind of did loads of little mini arcs. So they had like
Um,
3 episode arcs. And they would be, a lot of them tied into things from Star Trek lore. So you had a arc with basically explaining how the Klingons changed from looking humans in the original, looking kind of human in the
Into
original series to looking all rigid and stuff. And then you had an arc with the guy, with the ancestor of the guy that created Data, played by Brett Spiner.
soon, yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of things that linked back into the history of the show, which I quite liked in that last season. No, I really like Enterprise.
The theme tune just rubs me up the wrong way.
It's been a long
Oh
time.
no, because it gets stuck in my head
from there.
every time, and that's why I don't get on with it. Like, it's the theme tune. I need to sit down and give it a proper good go though. I'm a sucker for a shuttlecraft, and I always judge a series on how cool the shuttlecrafts are, and the shuttlecrafts are not cool.
No, they're not
Enterprise.
Cool. No, that's true, but neither were TNG's. And TNG's is a good show.
The best shuttlecraft is DS9.
Oh, what the sort
The
of
runabout.
runabouts? Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I want a runabout. I just want to live in a runabout.
Xander Toner says we don't talk about the Enterprise finale. The Enterprise final. No, let's not talk about that.
Is that the one where Troy and
the one where it's all a holodeck
recreation,
and Riker is watching the history of the Enterprise.
But that's not the sort of thing that I'd imagine Riker willingly sitting through. I can imagine him being on like what is it, Rigel 7 or one of the pleasure worlds, not sat there.
Yeah, the one thing I do like about it though is it started Riker, I think, has now been the character that has been in the most Star Trek series, because he was in, well, though technically he was in, I mean the actor was in Deep Space Nine, but technically he was playing Thomas Riker.
Yeah.
He's clone duplicate, but I'm gonna count it. Then he was in an episode of Voyager when Q just made him appear. And then he's been in Lower Decks recently. He's obviously been in Picard and
Captain of the
Enterprise.
Titans, isn't he?
Yeah. So he's I think now he is officially the Star Trek character that has been in, or actor at least, that has been in the most Star Trek series.
I kind of wish, with the resurgence of Star Trek, I wish they would take like I'd love to see like an animated Star Trek Titan series with Riker and Troy and then their crew, and maybe like 1 or 2 of the big novel events. Like, I haven't read a lot of the novels, but I did read most of Destiny and I really enjoyed it, and I'm like, that would be quite a cool thing to do.
I've only read a handful of Star Trek novels. When I was a teenager, I got into the series that was written, or ghost written probably, by William Shatner, the William Shatner ones. Did you ever read those?
Yeah.
Where it follows Captain Kirk getting resurrected in the 24th century and goes on adventures and meets up with loads of other characters. Like, he ends up on Deep Space Nine at one point and battles the Borg and all these sorts of things. It was just so ridiculous, so fan servicey, is ridiculous. But as a 14-year-old reading it, I loved them.
Yeah, I get you. Like, Shatner is Kirk. Kirk is Shatner.
Yeah. And just scrolling through the comments for any other Star Trek things while we're on here. Jace says, I always have to watch each episode twice before I make up my mind, and I really like Prodigy. Jace also says, can't wait for Chakotay to make an appearance. Yes, because apparently Chakotay is going to be in it. That'll be interesting. That should give us a firm idea of when it's set, because how old he will be.
I wonder how it's going to work in that though, like how they're going to do it.
I wonder if after they got back to the Alpha Quadrant, he decided that he wanted to head back to the Delta Quadrant, because this whole series is set in the Delta Quadrant. So maybe that's what happened.
Or they could find a holodeck on the ship and find the history of the ship.
That's true. That could be another option. Maybe he was one of the crew.
Yeah.
That have mysteriously gone missing. And Jace also says Janeway hologram with a coffee is so funny. It's not Janeway without coffee.
Oh, there's coffee in that nebula.
Yes.
The best line of any TV show ever.
Ryan Tablet says hello. Hello, Ryan.
Hello.
Doctor Who Home said he's listening to us on catch up. Thanks for the Big Finish cover contest plug. No worries. Cool. Anything else you want to say about Star Trek before we move on?
It's great. Go watch it. Don't miss out. Don't be put off that it's animation, because animation is just as good as live action.
It is, definitely.
Absolutely.
Let's talk Doctor Who then.
Doctor Who.
So,
Doctor Who.
Flux, we're one episode in. Because these live streams are only monthly, by the time I next do one of these live streams, there'll only be one episode left. And I'll have 4 episodes to talk about. But I watched it. I obviously released my review, and I did that pretty much instantly. So I watched and recorded straight away. So it was very much my first impressions. And I always find that when I go back and watch them again, I pick up a bit more things. Maybe I notice things. Like I said, I'm generally quite an enthusiastic person. Like it takes a lot for me to see flaws in things like that, because I'm just, swept up in the moment and enjoying it. So I have rewatched it a second time now, and I did notice a few things, but overall, I still really enjoyed it and had a great time watching it.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
13 and yes, is dynamic, has not felt stronger. It's great. I want to know about these adventures that they've had in the meantime. I want to know about Trapezium 7.
That's another good gap for Big Finish to fill in later.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just it just felt like classic Doctor Who to me. It felt like a proper episode 1. Even the cliffhanger at the end, I've always wondered what the universe would look like when it ends. It felt like such a, I'm paraphrasing there, but that was such a 5th Doctor moment. Like I could imagine Peter Davidson sort of like looking at the camera with a worried face, saying that exact line, and then the credits rolling for the next episode.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the big criticisms I've seen from a lot of people online is that it's not self-contained enough. But it's not. Like classic Doctor Who never really was. Classic Doctor Who always was episodic, like one episode led into the other, like, a story. And this is like...
One of my fears going into it was that they would overpack the episodes with too much stuff. And I do think it's kind of skirted the line of that quite closely. But I do, on the whole, think actually most of the stuff in that episode, like, I didn't ever feel like, oh, there's too much here. The one plot line I might have said, I don't get why it's there in this particular episode, is the 1800s stuff with the tunnel building.
Yeah.
And mainly just because nothing happens with that one. Whereas there's some kind of inciting incident, however little of them we saw, like with the Weeping Angel one, they did something. They transported that woman back. With the Sontaran one, we found out that they were, coming to Earth, and they were arriving, and they were going to war, and something happened with them. But with the tunnel one, we just kind of found out this guy was digging some tunnels, and it kind of felt like there needed to be something at the end there. Like, we saw it at the beginning, we didn't need to see it the rest of the episode, but if at the end, on those cliffhanger bits where they briefly flash back to everything, something had happened with the tunnels, that would have, I think, justified it being there a bit more. Like, they found something in the tunnels, or there was an explosion or a cave, something needed to happen there, I think.
I feel like you could have actually, I agree with you there, because I feel like you could have moved that whole section to the second episode. Yeah. And then maybe like lessen the load of mystery on the viewer and spread out a couple of mysteries for each episode. I mean, the mystery is going to keep on growing, but we now know that it's, the Flux and the Swarm. I mean, the TARDIS has never looked better.
Yeah.
I thought
the inside.
Yeah, the interior looked gorgeous.
Yeah, because I'm not a massive fan of this interior. But I mean, it is very colorful and dynamic. But I'm not a fan of I didn't massively like the Russell T Davies era one either. I'm not a fan of the organic look. So the crystal or the coral,
Yeah,
either of those, I'm not a massive fan of. I much prefer a TARDIS that looks like a machine. So I
I
love
get
the
you.
Capaldi one. But yeah, I mean, it does look very stunning, and um, the I one disappointment with the whole of the Chibnall era is color, actually, because on all of the marketing, it's all so vibrant. Um,
Mhm.
there's these colors that pop, but they tend to get a bit muted down. It's almost like it's the grading, because you can see the colors are there. Like in that opening scene, the green was the like vibrant, and but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like got this mist over it that mutes it down a bit. And I kind of just would like it to pop a bit more.
Yeah, it kind of makes it feel a bit like an edgy noir rather than
Yeah,
a fun romp. Which I think the episode was a fun romp from start to finish. Um, I mean, the swarm is terrifying. That whole segment at the end where they're sort of bringing in Dan's girlfriend into the house was something literally out of Hellraiser, which again, I wonder, because it was a Halloween based episode, if that was a deliberate nod
mm.
to that. Um,
Yeah. The
which
design on Swarm was great.
mm,
Um, and I don't know if you noticed, but the when we first met Swarm, it was played by a different actor at that first moment to after he then absorbed the guard, potentially Gallifreyan guard, that
mm,
it then changed actor. So that's a kind of regeneration. If
yeah.
it's got a link in somewhere, it'd be interesting.
Well, it's interesting because, like, again, someone pointed out that the Lupari helmet was very similar to the interdimensional creatures' heads from
Yes,
Skyfall.
and that's either deliberate or BBC saving money and reusing costumes.
Exactly. Now, if it's deliberate, I mean, we had the first mention of the Timeless Child was with the first series of Jodie's.
Mm,
Now, I've got my own personal theory, which is probably completely wrong. Um, I genuinely think that we've got the Jodie Doctor is our Doctor, but I think they're in a different universe.
okay,
I think they found the TARDIS on that planet, and it is the Doctor's TARDIS, but it's Joe Martin's Doctor's TARDIS rather than Jodie's
interesting.
TARDIS.
Okay, I'm trying to think if there was anything that might contradict that. What about Jack? How
That's
would
the one. That's the one thing. But Jack's an odd one anyway, isn't he?
yeah? Funny,
So
I did ask people on Twitter for their wild theories earlier on, so maybe I'll read out a few of those. I had my own wild theory, which I released in a video yesterday, which is that potentially Dan could be a fugitive doctor.
mm,
So if you want to find out why I think that, I'm not going to tell you now. Go watch the video.
I latched onto that one line where he was like, "I've got a mate that's got one like this, but bigger on the inside," which
Yeah,
is probably a joke, but at the same time, it could, like you said, it could be foreshadowing.
it could be. I addressed that in there amongst many other points, so it's a little bit tongue in cheek. But do go and do go check out that video. And as I said, I did ask people on Twitter as well. So if I'll keep us up on the screen, but I will go to my Twitter separately and see what some of those wild theories might be. If I can find them now, what have I done with them? Let's go to my notifications. That will find them.
I
And
love
let us
your
know in the
artwork that
chat
you
as
do.
well if you've got any wild theories for the series. Looking at the chat, I'm just seeing if anybody says, Xander Toner says, hell yeah, Flux. And also, while I'm still not a big fan of it, it's a massive improvement over series 11 and 12. And Davis is in the chat. Hello, Davis. A great YouTube channel. He does the Broke Canon videos, which are
Hello.
fantastic. And also, if you go to his channel fairly recently, me and him did a commentary on State of Decay. So,
Such a good story.
yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So go check that out as well.
Did you notice in that quick one about State of Decay? Did you notice that clearly they'd had an argument
Yes.
first 2 episodes?
Yeah,
they don't look at each other.
Him and
Yeah.
Romana just don't. I mentioned that in the commentary as well. They don't look at each other at all during the first couple of episodes, or the second. They barely throughout the story, in fact. Especially Tom just deliberately does not look at Lala Ward.
And then by episode 3, they've made up and clearly happy-go-lucky again.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know if they have, because I'm pretty sure it's episode 3 and 4 that I think it's episode 3 and 4 that we did the commentary for, and there is the scene where they're in the jail, in the vampire's jail. That's in episode 3, I think, and they're not looking at each other then.
Oh, I thought they were by that point. Ooh.
No, definitely not.
Must have had a bust up.
Okay.
Go on.
I was just going to go to these some of these crazy theories that people have been posting on my Twitter. So Escape from Traken Flux at Escape Traken says there's going to be a surprise appearance by something or someone related to Series 1. There were a few mentions in the Halloween Apocalypse, Rose, Hello, Run for Your Life, etc. The similarity between Flux and the Big Finish Ninth Doctor stories.
Oh, that would be interesting.
That would be interesting. I did notice. Did you notice the Outpost Rose?
Yes, the Outpost Rose was there. That was very cool. I mean,
that is either just a sort of behind the scenes Easter eggy nod, or it's
so sorry.
Hey,
it's about the strange man just walking behind me. Then,
oh right, I did not see that. I wasn't looking at the screen. As long as it's a fully dressed strange man.
Yes. It'd be interesting if they do that.
Yeah, I see. I don't think we're getting Rose back. I don't think it's that level. But what I think it might hint to is the origins of this outpost. So we know that at one point Captain Jack was rumored to be in this series, and has potentially been removed. Well, we know he's not in it. So the rumor is that he was in it and got removed. But if that was the case, maybe this is some kind of future Torchwood outpost, and therefore it was named that by Jack, possibly.
Maybe.
Or possibly the Doctor themselves is involved with setting up this outpost, and that's why it's called Rose. I think it's something more likely to be along those type of lines if it does get involved with the plot, sort of hinting at who set up the outpost, rather than hinting that we're going to see Rose.
I mean, it would be lovely to see Rose, and it would totally fill a gap in my "this is a different dimension" theory, because she's in a different dimension.
Maybe we're in that dimension.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Oh, but we've not seen any Cybermen, have we?
That's true, but maybe they got rid of them all.
The Cybermen, probably the least favorite design of a Cyberman for me personally.
What, more so than the Iron Man Cybermen?
I like the Iron Man Cyberman's head.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Head upwards. Yeah. Iron Man, rest of it, not so much. My favorite one so far from the new series is definitely the latest incarnation.
Yeah.
I just love it. I just love sort of that invasion-esque vibe to it. I mean, I'm so excited for this series. Like I said, it's hard for me to find fault. The one thing I did feel with the last 2 series is that I felt that it had forgotten it was a kids show.
Okay.
And again, this is harking back to me watching a lot of Japanese shows that have been running for the same amount of time. Fundamentally, they are kids' shows. However, they have aspects to them that appeal to an older audience. Like in Ultraman, the way that they explain that there are different Ultramen is one that it's different multiverses.
Yeah.
And they all get together, and that appeals to an older audience and still allows you to play and tell similar stories. I just don't know. There's just an aspect. I think this one felt really fun and actually at points kid-like, which was really lovely. But I think the last 2 series have felt a little bit aimed more at like 20-something-year-olds. And I always think Doctor Who should also be for kids as well.
Yeah. Terence Nazaire, I think it is, on the comment says there were like 3 references to Rose. So we've got the Outpost Rose, we've got Run for Your Life, which is obviously the same line that the Ninth Doctor says to her. What's the third one? Do we know anything of the third one?
No, when I watch Doctor Who, I get totally engrossed. I barely remember the lines unless they really stick out to me.
Yeah.
I know the Rose thing I noticed, like the Outpost Rose I noticed.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what that black goo is. I want to know what that is.
Well, Drawn with Cameron Smith says, I think the TARDIS is dying because the universe is dying. The TARDIS relies on energy from the universe to sustain itself because it's getting destroyed by the flux. It's decaying.
So, that's a good theory.
Yeah.
That's a good theory.
Other theories off of Twitter. Deborah Jamation at Bad Jamation says, okay, hear me out. Dan is allegedly a plaster from Liverpool, right? You know who else was a plaster from Liverpool? Moxie from Our Vie de Saint Pet. And Moxie was played by Christopher Fairbank, who was also Fenton in the Doctor Who story Flatline. This is a multi-part theory. You know who else was in Flatline? Rigsby. And next time Rigsby showed up was in Face the Raven, where Clara died. Considering we haven't seen anything in show evidence of Dan's plastering vocation, could that be a clue to pointing to his secret identity as a splinter of Clara? Dan is Clara.
Oh, Clara. Oh, Clara. Oh, my Clara.
That's yeah. Yeah, given how much they talked about the fact that he was a plasterer.
Yeah.
Not done many plastering.
Like, Clara's not... I know Clara has a lot of very dedicated fans.
I like Clara.
I liked Clara with Matt. I didn't like Clara with Capaldi. I thought the dynamic was very weird. Very, very hostile dynamic, especially in Capaldi's first series. I thought they were unnecessarily mean to each other.
Fair enough.
And I didn't understand Clara's desire to be stuck on Earth and then go traveling, and I didn't understand that dual life that she wanted. Like, if that, I mean, that, you know, that could be someone, but if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, just get me in the TARDIS, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't need to be a school teacher. I can be a school teacher when I come back in time.
Yeah. I suppose we've got that now with Yaz has finally given up being a police officer because she says she's a former police officer.
Yeah.
So she's clearly gone, I'm just going to travel with you full time. Don't bother dropping me off now.
It's a weird one because I think when they brought Doctor Who back the original time with Russell T Davies, obviously it was interesting dynamic having the family involved. So having Jackie, having the repercussions of Rose going away in World War III, you know, I think that was really interesting. But I think because they tried to continue that a little bit with Clara and like
less so in the Moffat era though.
Yeah,
like they didn't involve the families as much in the Moffat era. They would get dropped off, but
they just had a family on board with Amy, Rory, and River.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it kind of, it's not an arc I'd like to see again for a while. I'd quite like just somebody to just be happily traveling with the Doctor and not, you know, because we never saw that with the previous series.
Yeah, but then I always thought that was a little odd that, like, other than the times when they were like stuck because they couldn't get home, like Ian and Barbara, I always felt like, well, you'd want to like check in on your friends and family every once in a while, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to just be like go years and years without not seeing anyone. So I quite liked that in the new series, we kept going back to, or they would get dropped off and you know, picked up again later, that kind of thing. I quite like that, especially during the Moffat era, because it didn't like, yeah, maybe having a family dynamic every time got a bit boring in the Russell T Davies era, because you had Martha's family following Rose's family, and then you had Don's
Yeah.
family, which was we got Wilf out of it, so I'm not complaining. But it was a bit samey by that point. But then I think Moffat did something different with it. He was just like, okay, yeah, they go home, and then like with Rory and Amy, you had a period where they were like, how long has it been for you? And it's been like ages for him. It's been like hundreds of years at some points, and I quite like that. That there's these gaps that again it leaves gaps for Big Finish for them to have adventures with other companions in between
Yeah.
adventures with the main companion, which I quite like as well.
I need to really sit down and rewatch the Moffat era.
Yeah.
I don't think I've rewatched it for a while. It's weird. I always go to classic when I do a rewatch. When I so maybe I need to force myself to do more modern. Maybe I love School Reunion. School Reunion is always a good one, but I'm always left in tears by the end of it. Yeah, maybe I need to do a modern rerun again.
Yeah, do it. So another of the theories that I got on Twitter from at Go Doctor Who 1, Connell, says he's got a picture of Carvanista, the dog guy.
Yeah.
Or Clifford, as I know him as. So these guys can make things small, and they make a house small. Why don't they use the power in the ship to make the planet Earth small and put it on a spaceship and travel to another place in the universe? Good question. I guess we don't know what effect that shrinking ray has on people. I think the Master's shrinking ray kills people when it shrinks them. So I don't think that would work if it's the similar technology.
Yeah. I mean, the Doctor could have always materialized the TARDIS around Earth.
Around the whole planet. Just have the whole planet in the TARDIS.
Yeah, but I'm guessing with the state that the TARDIS was probably in, it didn't do too well.
Has the Doctor ever materialized the TARDIS around a whole planet before?
No, the Doctor materialized the TARDIS around a
Davis, are you in the chat still? Because if you are, this is the kind of encyclopedic knowledge of books and comics that you might have. Has the Doctor ever materialized the TARDIS around a planet?
They materialized it around an anti-time bomb in the Big Finish.
Oh, okay.
Then that's how Zagreus happened.
Oh, yes, Zagreus.
Oh, I love Zagreus.
I mean, I've only ever tried to listen to it once, but I just got a bit.
I love that. I've only tried to listen to it once.
It was, yeah, I know. I probably wasn't concentrating enough. It's a story you really need to concentrate with, I think.
It's very, very virgin novel.
Yes.
Very virgin novel, yeah.
At one, as in the word one, then one, the number one nerd, says, I think that the Flux is a great vampire, but one that has evolved so that he can take the energy from them instead of blood. Interesting, wild theory.
That's interesting.
Here's one from at Sammy_Leto, who says Swarm is Doctor Who's dad, or maybe her uncle, which would mean Azur is her mum. Maybe, but then, well, I was going to say, why would he be battling her? But then, kids and their parents, teenagers especially.
Yeah.
Maybe. At Movies TV Mad, aka Mike Minnis, says scary villain guy is Tectayun. I'm sure he says he's sure he spelled that wrong, but it doesn't matter. It's a hard one to spell. It makes sense that the Doctor and the woman who used her would be enemies. I'm still suspecting a massive twist with Yaz and his Dan. Too good to be true. There we go. But I have another theory video that I released last year about Tectayun and how the Doctor is actually Tectayun and not the Timeless Child. That was my theory in that video.
Oh.
So if you haven't watched that, go watch that. For finding out what I can't remember what my argument was in that because I released it so long ago. But it was basically an all-encompassing theory that incorporated looms from the Virgin novels. The other, the Cardinal Master Plan. And basically, I tried to wrap it all into one big theory with with her being Tecteun. So yeah, go find. Don't have the thumbnail for that one to bring up, but go watch that one as well.
I'll have to take that one.
Yeah.
It's an interesting theory. Like maybe they're, the idea that they're trying to make up for what they did.
Yeah, even if it's subconsciously because they don't know
anymore who they are.
Yeah. At Tin and Sonic says the flux is the remains of Gallifrey following Series 12, hence the vortex energy doing nothing to it. Swarm is somehow attached to the TARDIS. Everything is crystals in the era, and it feels like it needs to match up. Yeah, because he's got crystals coming out of his face, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Crystals. Is there a link there?
Crystal Maze. Doctor Who in the Crystal Maze. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their costumes are stunning. I want that suit, even with the shoulder pads.
Yeah, that's another thing about the costumes that link it to the Timeless Child, because the Timeless Child, as a child, when we first meet her, that Tecteun finds her, has this embroidery that is very similar to the stuff that Swarman and Azure are wearing. Similar patterns, so another link maybe.
I'm wondering if, like, was it you that mentioned maybe yesterday, like the idea that they are opposites? Like the Doctor is like brought regeneration energy, and Swarm is the one that devours energy.
Oh, that wasn't me. I can't remember who said that. It might have been Harry.
But it's like a sort of like a balance,
yes.
Isn't it? Like they're cosmic entities of balance.
Yeah.
Which again was interesting because the Doctor said that they could feel the universe.
Yeah.
When they have that, before they have that psychic attack, they're like, I can feel the universe.
Yeah.
Which is quite an interesting thing. Like, I know, obviously we know the Doctor has like telekinetic, like psychic powers, and they can feel like the turn of the earth with, Eccleston. I mean, this all really harks back to Sylvester McCoy and the mystery of who the Doctor is.
Not just any other Time Lord or whatever he says. I'm not just an ordinary Time Lord or whatever that
exactly
cut from that episode was.
And then we had we had everything the other, and
yeah, it's all in my Tecteun theory video. Go check it out.
Tecteun. Yeah, the thing is, I think we said this yesterday. I do feel like Chibnall's making his Who. This is for him.
Absolutely, and good on him. If you get the show, it's exactly I would make Who for me if I got in charge of it somehow. I'd be like, yep, I'm gonna make the thing I've had in my fan fiction for years.
Yeah, I'd have some bonkers stories. Like some really bonkers stories. Like I'd like to see some of the things like that the Virgin novels touched on. There's a brilliant series of stories where it's the Meddling Monk has rewritten parts of the Doctor's timeline, and their adventures set in these alternate timelines. It's one where the Silurians like take over the Earth, which was really good. And there's another one where basically it's like a riff of The People. It's I can't remember the author, Ian something, really famous sci-fi author, or the aliens.
Banks.
Yeah, Ian Banks, exactly. Yeah, The People. Well, there's a version of them in the Virgin novels that are kind of like having a cold war with the Time Lords. I mean, the Time Lords are horrid.
Yeah, they do some dodgy stuff.
They are not nice.
Terence Nazaire says, I think Yaz is heading towards a downward spiral, mostly, and she may die by the end of this. We're due a companion death. Yeah, I kind of said I wanted the companion death last series, and we didn't get it. And Dan is too new to die, he says. I would be up for seeing a companion death. We haven't had a proper companion death since Adric. Come on, let's kill a companion.
we had Bill.
Bill didn't die. She turned into a puddle and explored the universe.
Well, I kind of hope Yaz doesn't die because what Bill went through was horrific.
Oh yeah, she went through her horrific time, but she came out of it at the end alive and
As a
traveling the
puddle.
universe as a puddle. She was alive, and Clara is alive. These are fake deaths. These are Stephen Moffat going, well, I kind of want to put a death in, but I don't want them to really die. I want someone to really die and stay dead, aka like Adric did. Like,
yeah, but I don't want Yaz to. Yaz is too awesome.
I don't really care who it is. I mean, if anything, the more you like them, the better that will be as a bit of storytelling, because it will tug on the heartstrings more.
Yeah, but then I won't get my Yaz's, alien PI spin-off.
No, true. Did you have that idea too? Because I had that idea that actually she would leave the show by joining satellite, going off and being either joining a police force, like a space police force, or doing her own thing in space.
Yeah, I can totally see her being like a contractor for Jadoon, and rather than taking like the heavy-handed method of like getting the criminals, they would do like the Doctor's method of getting the criminals.
Yeah, I could see that too. But I just think it's been so long since we've had a companion death. Mind you, actually thinking about it, I'd actually prefer them to do a companion death in a series where the next series is going to be the same showrunner, because then you're more likely to see the repercussions of that.
Yeah.
Whereas if they killed Yaz now, we might, if they did it at the end of this series, we'd see the repercussions in one special. But I kind of want it to, Russell T Davies wouldn't carry that thread on.
I think we are in for. I think we're in for something completely different when RTD comes back.
Yeah,
I think all the rules are going to be out of the window. I think, again, RTD wasn't afraid to do what RTD wanted to do when he brought it back. And I think he's going to come back and do the exact same thing and do what RTD wants to do, and make the Doctor Who that he wants to make. A bit like Chibnall, but again, I think RTD also knows what people like.
Yes, I do. I think you're right. And he will start it in a similar way. I don't mean like all the Time Lords are gone and there's been a time war, but I mean like in a very clean slate way, in the same way that he did in 2005. Not because he dislikes anything, like he loves the classic series as well, but he didn't want to dwell on it in 2005 too much, because that's dwelling on any lore that already exists. If you're trying to rope in new audiences,
it doesn't work.
It's prohibitive. So he will want to come into it similar to he did in 2005, I think, and have a relatively open, accessible series that doesn't mention too much lore of the past.
We will have I don't think we'll see a regeneration.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we'll see a regeneration.
Do you think we won't see one at all, or we won't see the ending of the regeneration, i.e. we won't see the finish of it?
I think we won't see the finish.
Okay.
And I think we'll start the RTD series with a Doctor, a bit like
he did in 2005,
and just pick it up from there. And I think that allows a lot of open space for other creative companies, maybe Big Finish going in the future, or books, that sort of thing. But I think it'd be the best way to do it is to get everyone to go, well, we don't know which Doctor this is. It's not the point of what number they are, it's that they're the Doctor.
Yeah, even I bet though that however much they emphasize that we don't know which Doctor this is, we will still call them the 14th Doctor.
Of course we will, because fans like to numberize.
Yeah, we can't hack not knowing which number. We will call them the 14th Doctor unless you give us a specific number. So,
exactly.
If you want to write, if Russell T Davies wants to write it in that it's been like 6 regenerations since he was Jodie, and put that in there somehow, then that will be fine. We can refer to them as the. Hold on, now I've got to do maths. 13. Well, she's 13, isn't she? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Why did I choose such a big number? 19th Doctor. We can recall them that if they give us a reason to.
Well, we've got what the because they don't want to number them. We've got the War Doctor, we've got the Ruth
Yeah.
Doctor, and
Do
then
you think we're going
potentially.
to see her this series?
I hope so. I really liked
Well,
that.
if my theory that Dan is also a fugitive doctor then comes true, then maybe.
Would be interesting. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's my dog.
The dogs.
Yeah,
Jeez. Did somebody
they've been
walk past
so
the window?
good.
They have. Good doggies. Looking at the chat. Oh My Dinosaur, who is also Bad Jamation on Twitter, says, "Hey, just got ahead. Did I miss anything exciting?" Well, you missed your tweet being read out that you tweeted me earlier, so you have to go back and listen to that. Terence Nazaire says, "I hope Chibnall keeps Gallifrey gone." Because RTD hated Moffat saving Gallifrey the way he did in Day of the Doctor. Did he hate it? Are you assuming that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never seen him say he hates it. But
I tell you what I did love. I loved RTG's little Time War target snippet.
which way? Oh, is this as if how he would have?
Yeah,
he imagined the regeneration from, but without the War Doctor. So going from 8 to
9.
9. Yeah.
Yeah, I love 8. 8's always been one of my favorite Doctors.
Same, and like 8 is the only Doctor I will buy everything of for Big Finish. Like anything the 8th Doctor is in, I'll buy from Big Finish automatically.
But very excited about the Charlie box set because it's going to be Happy Doctor.
Yeah.
Like he's not very happy at the moment, I don't feel.
Yeah, that's true.
And I kind of miss the Tigger aspect. One of the best Doctor Who books I've ever read is The Scarlet Empress, which
that's good.
It's just top tier Doctor Who book.
One of the 8th Doctor adventures. I need to start reading them again. I still haven't finished them. One day I'll finish them. Take me to retirement at this point.
Yeah. So much media.
Yeah.
RTD said he wanted to start 60th.
Hey?
I'm just reading one of the comments.
Oh, right. Oh, yes. RTD said he was starting with the 60th. I hate the idea of a new Doctor heading up the 60th. Wouldn't like it no matter how good the episode was. Well, we don't know that he will have a new Doctor then. For all we know, he might do something completely out of the blue and have a multi-Doctor story with all existing Doctors. Or, who knows, he might just do something with Tom Baker.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, okay, that's unlikely. But we don't know. We just don't know what he's going to do at this point. So, or he said the 60th year, maybe he'll squeeze in a series before a special. We don't know. Hasn't been confirmed that he's starting with a one-off 60th special. I think the wording on the announcement was that he's starting with the 60th anniversary year.
Feel about them all getting together. I mean, we had Time Crash for Children in Need, which I thought was brilliant. It worked really well, but I don't know if all of them together for an episode would be all that accessible.
Maybe not. No, especially if you're trying to start a new era.
Yeah.
I love a multi-Doctor story. So part of I would like it, but I do accept that especially starting an era, it's not going to be the most accessible to have a massive multi-Doctor thing.
No, I think it would suffer from the class effect is what I call it, where you're trying to do something new, but you instantly have something old that kind of makes it a bit redundant, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel, I think with class, I think you should have had Capaldi come midway for half an episode or something, not how they did it, because you're trying to set up this team of independent, young people dealing with aliens, and then you had Deus Ex Machina come and sort of fix everything.
Yeah. I didn't mind class. I quite liked a lot of it. I think
it's same.
It suffered from unfortunate timing and bad promotion. because
Again,
it came at that time where channel 3 radio, not radio 3, what am I trying to say, BBC
BBC Three.
had just got stopped being a linear channel and was only online, and they didn't promote it.
What is it with promotion, Doctor Who? You know, it's
Yeah,
I don't get it. Like they RTD hit on the head. You know, we had promotion. We had, you know, we knew it was there. Same with Moffat. But
yeah.
this series, no.
Okay, here's an idea for the 60th from Terence in the comments. They'd hoped that he'd bring in McGann to head it, if not Jodie. I think Paul is due his time for a series. Could you imagine that? A 60th anniversary special headed up by Paul McGann? What would that have to be? I mean, again, I don't know how accessible it would be.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I would love it. Give me a whole special of him setting the Time War. I would love it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm 50-50 with the idea.
Yeah.
Especially for the 60s. I think I'd rather have it be a spin-off that Russell T Davies does, like maybe a limited time event, you know, a bit like WandaVision, where we have, you know, 6 hour-and-a-half long episodes, which are just adventures throughout Eight's life, rather than just like, you know, concurrently, like have time pass quite significantly between each episode, if that makes sense. So then by the end of the series, you've got like this was the 8th Doctor in a nutshell kind of vibe, where Big Finish can slot in and everything.
Yeah. But
I think Russell T Davies needs a fresh slate going forward. I think it needs to be as continuity free as possible.
Yeah, which doesn't mean ignoring
it.
It doesn't mean retconning anything. It just means you don't mention it because it doesn't need to be mentioned.
I mean, we'll have. I strongly feel we'll have lots of monsters, classic monsters coming back.
Yeah, there'll probably be like a classic monster per series, sort of like he did, or 1 or 2 even. He did 2 really, if you think about it, per series.
Yeah.
So you'll probably have something like that again.
Let's just. I'm kind of. I love Cybermen. I love Daleks, but I'm kind of Cyber Dalek Tau.
Yeah.
I need.
Although I have loved the Chibnall Dalek stories. I think they've been brilliant. I think they've probably been better than. They've been my favorite Dalek stories since the RTD era. So, on TV, there's been great Big Finish stuff, but on TV. So, although I do also think that it'd be nice to rest them for a while. Maybe have a whole year, a whole series and special without them. Would be nice.
I'd like to see like a new race or an old race take up sort of a similar vibe or danger level as Daleks or Cybermen, if that makes sense. Can you imagine like the monoids? You know, you have the monoids become like the big bads.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something like proper like out of the blue that like just sort of like hits you in the side and go, oh wow, I wasn't expecting them. Sensorites turned bad.
Could be.
We're having Ood. I forgot we're having the Ood come back.
We're having the Ood come back. Yeah, that's good. We've got the Ood. We've got the Cybermen coming back. We've got what else is there? We've already had the Sontarans, obviously, the Weeping Angels. Was there anything else coming back that I've missed?
Not that we're aware of.
No. In the specials, we know we've got the Master because the guy carrying the box with the props. That's great. What a way to reveal it. Given how secretive Chibnall is about everything, he must have been fuming at that. Linda Marks in the comments, referring to Yaz, says, no, I think they'll pair her up with Vinda. That seems to be a thing based on, I don't know if people were talking about this before, but I've certainly seen it in the last couple of days since the latest set of photos were released for episode 3, where they've paired up Vinda and Yaz in some scenes. Like they're there together in a different location to where the Doctor looks like she is. So from that, people are going, oh, maybe they get together.
I can, as that fits my PI Yaz idea.
Yeah, what, her and Vinda go off and start a PIA agency together?
Yeah, it'd be a bit like the Star Trek Discovery with Burnham and what's his face in series 3.
Oh yeah, book. Yeah, what they're off doing their own thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I can
could
imagine
be.
that.
Not like as I'm imagining now. I'm trying to think of things where spin-offs have happened where PI agencies get started up. Did you ever watch Baywatch Nights?
No.
Baywatch Nights. David Hasselhoff and his police uh, man friend decide to start a private investigative organization. So that's like they're moonlighting and doing that in the evenings. So he's a lifeguard by day on the beach, and by night he's a PI.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think it lasted 2 series. And in the first series, it's like crime drama-y stuff, silly crime because it's Baywatch. It's silly crime drama-y stuff. But in the second series, they start introducing supernatural elements to
Oh
it.
gosh.
So there's like vampires and things
Yeah.
in the world. So in the canon of Baywatch, vampires exist.
Wow.
I know, it's great.
That's gonna be the second Baywatch movie with Zac Efron.
Brilliant, because I loved the first one. I thought it was brilliant. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, he's great. He's just such a watchable guy.
He's got charisma.
He's got such good charisma.
Yeah.
And almost everything he's in, he's so watchable. Just his whole personality is great. And it's the great thing about that movie is it knows what it is, and it absolutely doesn't try and be a serious movie. It takes the piss out of itself and the franchise as a whole as well.
Which I think is a good thing when they do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Oh, I'm looking forward to that sequel then. Looking at the chat again, Terrence says Class had potential to be one of the best spin-offs. Alas, it did not get any further. I wonder if they're ever gonna like anywhere. I mean, it could be Big Finish, it could be in a book, it could be in this. Who knows? Maybe in this series they will reference the Weeping Angels being the school governors of the school of Coal Hill School. I need to know how that ends somehow. Come on, Big Finish. If they don't deal with it in the show, Big Finish, you've done some Class audios. Please just do one. Yeah, they were good, but they were set during the series. I need one set after the series. Deal with that whole Weeping Angel thing. I need a resolution to it.
Please. If we get Patrick Ness watching this, come on, Patrick. Let's get an ending.
Yeah. Or whoever writes it. I don't care. Just give me an ending. Terrence also said, going into RTD, I don't want Dalek, Cybermen, or the Master for even a decade. Okay, that might be too long, I think.
Yeah.
I want a year, maybe 2 off from them, but a decade seems a bit too long to have your main bad guys that everybody knows not in the series.
I'd like a Dalek story without Daleks, and I know that sounds weird, but like a story set in like a Dalek war where you see like the repercussions of like,
so they're mentioned as this looming threat, but they're not
actually there. Yeah,
maybe, although I think that would disappoint a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true. I quite like Terrence's idea of a multi-companion story about the Doctor, though.
Oh yes, haven't Big Finish done one of those?
Yes, they have, and they do tend to be quite fun.
Yeah, that would be good. It'd be good to catch up on some old companions, see where they are. I think when we get into the Russell T Davies era, there's we were talking about this last night, weren't we? That they how they could do spin-offs, and I think they should bring Ace into an episode, sort of basically use the Sarah Jane blueprint of bringing her in to an episode, have an episode with her, have the continuity that's been established for her with, like, there was a reference in Sarah Jane Adventures to her having a charity. There is the book that Sophie wrote herself, where she's in charge of this charity, a charitable work. So have that keep that and have her in an episode and then spin that off. Now, this is where we disagree because you said it should be spin off into an adult spin off. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, you could do it like a CBB spin off again.
I think
So,
a CBBC one would be like Joe Grant.
you could have Joe Grant and her grandkids.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel Joe Grant would be great for CBBC, and I think Ace would be great leading up a new sort of version of Torchwood with, you know, using her company as like the front, and then obviously having them as, you know, extraterrestrial detectives or, you know, investigators in the back. There's the Torchwood crossover with Ace coming up as well.
Oh yes, there is, isn't there? I'm looking forward to that one.
So that would be interesting.
Yeah.
That's this month. It's out this month, actually.
Yeah. There's quite a lot I've bought out, pre-ordered out this month, actually.
Go check it out. Big Finish. So, you know, plug them there.
Yeah. Linking back into, talking of people being in Big Finish, linking back into Star Trek, Troy is in. The actress, Marina Serkis, that's it.
I think.
I think, is her name, and she is in a Big Finish. She's in the Story of Martha, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Sirtis, that's it.
Sirtis.
Marina Sirtis. Diana Troy.
She's in the Story of Martha, which I've pre-ordered. So looking forward to that as well as a Star Trek fan and a Doctor Who fan. Seeing her. So I don't think I've ever seen her in anything other than Star Trek.
She was in NCIS.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah.
Regular.
For a while, I think she was. Let me double check because I'm pretty sure she was in NCIS. Yeah, she was the director of Mossad in NCIS.
Nice.
Yeah, NCIS was a guilty pleasure of mine. It's brilliant in the background. Show.
For a while, my wife was into all those type of shows. I think she watched some of the NCIS ones. So, but I never got into them personally. But never mind. In the chat, a random out of nowhere question that's not anything to do with what we're talking about, but I'll read it out anyway. Tom Mason says, Taskmaster just finished on Channel 4. Do you watch it? I don't, but I've heard good things.
I've seen clips, and again, I've heard good things.
Yeah. Maybe one day, but I've got so much other stuff to watch. There's too much TV these days. Too much.
So much. Yeah. So much.
My to watch queue is ridiculous. I'll never
too many games, too many TV shows, too many movies.
I have so many games on my shelf that I bought myself or got for Christmas, and I have not even opened them. They're still in the cellophane.
I'm playing the Guardians game at the moment.
Oh, cool.
It's very good. It's not what I was expecting at all. After the disaster that was the Avengers game.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, this is so good. Is it
made by the same people?
No. Well, Square Enix, I think. Yeah, I think potentially. But it's so good. It's a story. The only thing it could do better is it could be a bit more Mass Effect-y in like open world. It's quite linear.
Yeah.
So it's like this is the story you're going through. Whereas if it was like a little bit like Mass Effect, where you could go to other little places and do little quests, I actually think it would be great.
I am very slowly making my way through the Doctor Who virtual reality game.
I need to get them.
And I've got it on the PlayStation. I've got a PlayStation virtual reality headset. And I can't play it for very long. I can't play any. I bought this virtual reality headset, and then I realized that I bought it just for the Doctor Who game, really. And then I quickly realized that it gives me motion sickness if I play it for more than 20 minutes. So yeah. I've barely played it, which sucks because I spent so much money on it. And now I can't barely play it for very long without feeling sick. But I will get through the game eventually. I will. It's going to take me a while.
You have to tell me what it's like. So we've got a virtual headset. We bought it for Beat Saber.
Oh.
My other half is.
I've heard that's good.
Yeah, it's fun.
I might get that one as well.
It's very good if you're wanting to try and get fit, because by the end of it you're sweating buckets.
Oh, that's good. So you like a game that involves a workout as well. Two birds, one stone.
I just want to sit there.
Fair enough. Omar Dinosaur says Marina Sirtis was in an episode of Adventure Time. Apparently, almost everyone from TNG was in that.
Oh wow.
I suppose she probably was in an episode of Family Guy as well, because again, is it Family Guy? Yeah, all of the TNG cast were in Family Guy, I think. Am I
Well,
remembering
apparently she
that
was
right?
in Green Street 2 and The Grudge 3.
Wow, are you on her IMDb right now?
I'm on her wiki. Yeah, I'm on a. Oh, and she was in the fan-made Star Trek Continues as the Enterprise's computer voice.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, she was recently in the UK doing a theatre show.
Yeah, well, she's moved back here, I think, permanently now.
Yeah. Oh, she was in Gargoyles.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, she was the voice of Demona in Gargoyles.
Ah. You know what? I heard her when she was doing her London theatre thing fairly recently. It was the first time I'd heard her interviewed and heard her British accent. Up until that point, I'd only heard her as Troy. And when I heard her very, very Cockney accent, I was like, "What? That it does not compute that that is coming out of her mouth because I'm so used to hearing her as Troy, and that she's got the most Cockney accent
Oh
ever."
my God, I didn't realize she's from London.
Yeah,
Oh, what?
yeah, she's British and Cockney.
She immigrated to the United States, settled in Los Angeles to boost her career in 1986. She later became a naturalized US citizen. Oh, wow.
But she never lost that British accent, apparently. Or even, or if she did lose it, she's got it back because she definitely sounds very Cockney now.
Oh, I'd love to meet her.
Yeah, yeah. Terence in the chat says Ace would be great with a more adult show. Agreeing with you there. I mean, I think I've come around to, yeah, I think you're probably right. Ace, especially with the setup of the charity, because I think I said this when we were chatting last night, it would be hard. With a kid's show, you need kid characters in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And how would you get that? You know, Sarah Jane had the thing of adopting Luke and then his friends. That's how they did that, but that would be a bit repetitive. So, but I think now you've mentioned Joe Grant, that I think, or no, she's not Joe Grant anymore, is she? She's
Joe Jones.
Joe Jones. That would be the way to go because then you could have her grandchildren, and introduce the kids that way.
Yeah, I think that.
And I bet she'd be up for that. I bet Katie would be up for that.
I love Katie. You were there when we went to, because we went to Time Fracture together, didn't we?
Yeah.
We messaged Katie afterwards saying, "Well, next time you'll have to come with us." And she was like, "Well, if you told me earlier, I would have come with you today."
We could have had Katie Manning doing Time.
We could have had Katie Manning with us. I love Katie.
I've never met her.
She's wonderful.
Wonderful.
She remembers everyone.
Does she?
Yeah, she remembers everyone. One of the true golden pinnacles of Doctor Who and its fandom, and just she's so humble, just so lovely. And
she always seems, in every interview I've seen her in, she just seems such a lovely person.
Yeah, she is genuinely, like, I could sit there and listen to her for hours.
Yeah. There we go. We've almost been going 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've got anything else to say on Doctor Who. Have you got anything else you want to say on the episode?
It was brilliant. I loved it. And it's just so nice to be able to watch Doctor Who and be excited. This has made, I feel excited about this.
Yeah. Are you excited about the next episode?
Absolutely, 100%.
Annoyingly, I'm at the BFI on Sunday, so I'm not going to watch it live.
Tut, tut, tut.
I know. Why did they organise a Doctor Who event on a day when Doctor Who is airing? What's with that?
I wish it was back on the Saturdays, because
yeah,
I could do Saturdays, but I can't do Sundays. And I'd have loved to have gone to Galaxy 4, and I'd love to have gone to City of Death.
I try and usually get my reviews out within a couple of hours of the episode airing as well, so I'm not going to be able to do that this Sunday, which is going to pain me.
I'll make sure not to message you spoilers.
Don't message me spoilers. I might watch it, and I probably won't be looking at my phone anyway because I'll be at the BFI and in the bar afterwards or whatever. But I will try and watch it on the train home if I've got good enough signal.
Yeah.
Depending, if I don't get home too late, I might record my review that night, or I might just record it the next day. We'll see.
Well, I hope you tell me what your thoughts are after
Yes.
our
You
discussion.
have to watch my review, and then you'll.
I will watch your review, and then I'll discuss your review with you.
Yes.
But thank you so much for having me.
That's all right. Thank you for coming on.
Fun.
It's always, I find live streams when I have to just talk myself and just interact with the chat, which is lovely. It's lovely interacting with you guys in the chat. But my voice does wear out after an hour of just talking myself constantly. So it's great that we've been able to go even longer for almost 2 hours.
Maybe I'll pick your brain on starting my own cult TV reviews and get to watch some of my Japanese rubbish.
Yeah, in fact, actually, you know what I would really love is, because you love the Super Sentai and stuff like that, I would love basic breakdowns of all of the Super Sentai for people that don't have the time to watch them. So like some kind of like, hey,
timeline.
You like Power Rangers, you'd like this, but you don't have time to watch it. So here's what happens in it in a very summarized way.
So this happened in Power Rangers. This happened in this version.
Yeah.
I get you. That's quite cool. Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Maybe I'll do that. I need to steal your technical expertise because you know how everything works.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for watching. And if you haven't already, if you can just help me out and just like go to the like button and press that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Like I just have.
Thank you. That's very nice.
And like I just have pressed that red button, don't forget to subscribe to Philip's YouTube channel.
You weren't subscribed to me. That's fine.
I am now. To be honest, my YouTube, this YouTube channel is literally just hobby videos of AMSR. I can't even say the word, of people making hobby doll houses because I want to do that.
ASMR, was that like, that's really like up quite close to the microphone?
Well, no, it's like lo-fi music and people making little like dioramas. And then I'm just like, I want to be that talented. But yeah,
It's just popped up that you've subscribed. I forgot I turned that on.
Well, thank you so genuinely. I've genuinely had an absolute ball. You've kind of given me the courage to maybe try this. Nice. I have got a small clip of, I was going to do unboxing videos. I'm not sure you saw the clip.
Oh yes, you did. Yeah.
I couldn't open the box. I spent like 5 minutes trying to open this box with some scissors, and it was like, no. Yeah.
Cool. Right. Well, yeah. Don't forget to everybody check out Antonio's Twitter account for his art as well, and check out my videos if you probably do already if you're watching this, but if not, I've got theory videos, got reviews, all that sort of stuff, and
they are really good.